Hello and welcome to today's National Careers Week live talk, all about a career within the Royal Engineers. Please do interact with the session using the Q&A box, and I hope you all have a very enjoyable time. Without further ado, I will hand over to Corporal Chris Coley, who will be leading the session today.
Hello and welcome to the Royal Engineers Careers Brief. As she said, I'm Corporal Chris Coley and I'll be taking the presentation today. So a bit about me then. So I've been in 9 years now and I'm an armoured engineer and a Class 1 combat engineer. Throughout this, if you've got any questions on anything, you can just write it down in the Q&A box and I've got a person here that will answer the question. So without further ado, I will start my presentation. So the Royal Engineer mission then is to provide intimate battlefield engineering support to allow the combat arms to move, fight and survive. And the general engineering support to all three services in the form of essential services and facilities to allow them to live, move and fight throughout all types of conflict. So the main part of that then is the live, fight and move. And the live part then is accommodation, protected and non-protected, sanitisation and power, drainage, HLS improvement and water supply. So a bit on the bones about that then is so we build accommodation on operations and in peacetime, sanitation and power, so we can bring electric to places that don't have electric. Drainage is for flooding, HLS improvement, so helicopter landing site improvements, and then water supply, so we basically make non-potable water potable for the battle group and anyone else surrounding. The move part then, so gap crossings, we can do this with vehicles or personnel, minefield clearance, lane trackway, route clearance and upgrades, and obstacle clearance. So again, with vehicles or personnel, we can do all of these with vehicles. So the mine clearance, if you look at the picture at the bottom of that, the big armoured personnel vehicle, you'll see that's got teeth on the front. So that will clear a minefield of any mines and just blow them in situ or push them out the way to allow freedom of movement for troops to get through and continue. Route clearance, again, we can do that with vehicles or by personnel means, and then obstacle clearance is exactly the same as the one above. So the fight aspect then, so as engineers we do mainly the route denial, the explosive method of entry, force protection, demolitions and engineer recce. So what's that then? So route denial is us potentially felling trees, so putting trees down, so not allow freedom of movement for the enemy to come towards us. Explosive method of entry, so if anyone's ever seen like really good videos of soldiers doing things and blowing down doors, normally see it on like Call of Duty and things like that. So that is us as Royal Engineers, that's what we do. So we put explosives onto the door and door frames and get back 50 metres and then boom, door goes open. That's to allow the infantry to go forward and engage the enemy. Force protection then, so we will protect an area that we are in. So if we are occupying, say, a building, we will protect that building furthermore by putting things in place like fencing and things like that around to make sure that no one can get into us, and then we have also ways to get out if needs be. Demolitions then, so everyone loves explosives, so that's what we do as engineers. So we will do loads of different types of explosives, all the way from the emo to blowing craters in the earth, chopping down trees with explosives, and so on and so forth, taking down buildings. And then engineer recce then, so that is just basically us going in and doing reconnaissance on places to see them where we can use our engineering skills and as advantage on and off the battlefield. So the individual roles and attributes then. So we're quite lucky being engineers, we're the only triple traded soldiers in the army. So as everyone is in the army, we are soldier first. So everyone does their green phase first, you are a soldier. And then second, you'll do your combat engineer course, where you'll get your staple belt and then become a Royal Engineer. And then third is your tradesperson. That could be any of the trades that we do. So you're triple traded all the way through. And to be part of the Royal Engineers, we've deemed it that the attributes on the right hand side is some of them that you would require to be a Royal Engineer. So if you just have a quick look down, then you can see diverse, robust, dedicated, courageous, determined, disciplined, adaptive, intelligent, ingenious, multi-skilled, and subject matter expert. Everyone thinks everyone with our TRF is a subject matter expert. Yes, we are, because we know a lot. We know a little about a lot. So we do a lot of different things, a big array amount of things that we do, and we all are sort of SMEs in there, so we can help out even from a sapper level all the way up to like warrant officer and officer level. So the pathways into the Royal Engineers at the moment then, so there is 3. We have the soldier junior entry, so this is for anyone who is between 15 and 7 months and 17 and 2 months. And that's a 20-week course in the Army Foundation College in Harrogate. And then after that, you have the adult entry for anyone who's basically over the 17 and 2 months, all the way up to 35 years and 6 months. And that's either at ATR Purbright or ATC Winchester. And then the third way is the officer. Luckily for you guys today, if anyone's actually interested in officer, at the end of this presentation, there'll be the final slide of officers. I've got a Captain Porter waiting to join in, and then she will do her slide, and any questions you have specifically on officer, she can answer them there and then for you. So that's pretty good. We don't normally do that. So the training progression then, so everyone, as I said, starts on their phase 1 to become a soldier within the Army, and that's a 14-week course in ATR Purbright or ATC Winchester, less the junior soldier entry, which is on 20 weeks at Harrogate. After that, then you'll do your phase 2 Alpha, which is your combat engineer training, and that is a 10-week course here at Gibraltar Barracks, where you will learn an array of different things that we'll come on to in further slides. And then after that would be your phase 2 Bravo, which is your trade training, and that can be anything from 8 weeks all the way up to 43 weeks, depending on your trade that you're going into. So the basic soldier training then, as I said, ATC Purbright, ATR Winchester or AFC Harrogate. And some of the things you'll cover while you're there to become a soldier will be like your field craft, so just going out in the field and learning how to live within the field environment from being a civilian to a soldier. Skill at arms then, so getting au fait with the weapon systems we use, all the way from stripping and assembling it to firing it and cleaning it and maintaining it. Your fitness training, so there's going to be a lot of fitness when joining the Army. Everyone should there shouldn't be anything new to someone, but it will never. You don't need to come in being the fittest person ever. They will progress you from day 1 to the end to get you where we like you. So basic level of fitness is all you need to become in the Army and a Royal Engineer. Qualities of a soldier then. So obviously we expect a lot higher standards than normal civilian jobs. So they will just teach you the qualities of a soldier that you need to be a good soldier. Military knowledge then, so they'll teach you about the military knowledge that you require for your career, i.e. vehicles, what equipment we use, tactics and things like that. So battlefield casualty drills, that is what essentially a first aid course for soldiers, because we have slightly different injuries than what you could potentially come up to in civilian street. So they'll just teach you how to do that quickly to save one of your oppos' lives if necessary. CBRN then, so that's, I'm sure you've potentially seen pictures of people in gas masks. That's basically what we do, and it's not just a gas show, we don't do that anymore. So you'll have a respirator on, and then you'll do skills and drills to make sure that you're au fait if it ever came into a position that you had to use it. Hopefully we never have to. Individual health then, and that's to teach you or express on your knowledge of your own health to make sure that you're a healthy person to then do your job correctly. And then further education, so if required, then you will do further education while in training to get the job that you want to do, and then all that through your career is further education throughout. It never stops at soldier basic training. Phase 2 then, so that's your combat engineer training, and that is at 3 RSME in Gibraltar Barracks, where I am currently now, and that's a 10-week course. Things you'll learn there would be basic field engineering, water supply, demolitions, force protection, watermanship, mine warfare, equipment and non-equipment bridging. What is that then? So as Royal Engineers, we pride ourselves on bridges. That is our main focus as engineers, is bridges. So you will learn how to build the bridges that you see in that picture there. So that is an equipment bridge because it's purposely built to be a bridge. It's quite tough, it's quite heavy, but between all of you together, it makes it quite light as long as everyone's working together. And then the other form of bridging is the non-equipment bridging. So that is essentially us taking any items that are around within reason, and making a bridge, where you'll do that here with pre-made things that you potentially could make out in the field. So large planks of wood, I-beams, things like that, and it'll make a bridge that can be crossable by personnel and vehicles once complete. Mine warfare then, so looking how to go and search for mines in the ground. We don't lay mines, so just literally searching for them, and how then you would dispose of them so you can get freedom of movement past that area. Force protection, as I alluded to earlier, is us defending that position with various different things like cat wire fencing, barbed wire, boarding up windows, making houses into defence houses, things like that. Demolitions, I've already alluded to. You'll learn how to make explosives from nothing to all the way up to blowing concrete slabs and things like that. Water supply, as I said, that'll go from making non-potable water into potable water for the battle group, and you learn that while you're here. And then basic field engineering, then that is like power tools, concreting, bolt guns, bridge demolition. It could be, there's loads of things in basic field engineering that you will learn. There's a lot of things to learn in a very short 10 weeks, but it's a very good course and everyone seems to love it at the end. So I'm going to show you a video now, if I can get it to play, which is a short video of basically everything I've just explained, but in video form. So I'll just play that for you now.
Everyone is triple traded, so they are a soldier first, then they're a combat engineer, and they're also a tradesman.
The combat engineering side is something I enjoy the most.
We do building bridges,
demolitions, learning how to blow up, say, enemy bridges.
you learn your trenching, mine clearance, fortifications.
Fully equipped and trained how to deal with razor wire, fencing.
We can do water supply, so we might go to a part of the world where we haven't got running water, so we need to utilise sort of rivers and streams.
Like disaster zones after events like tsunamis, earthquakes, stuff like that, really aid in helping the local population.
We also learn watermanship, so we learn how to actually drive some of the boats that we use, the assault boats.
Every trade in the engineers will do combat engineering, so it's like a base thing that all engineers do.
It's a 10-week intensive course and finish off with a big exercise.
So on this exercise we've been targeting three main areas within the combat engineering realm, which is the survivability. This consisted of building fortifications, so using that civil engineering type skill set. We moved on to mobility, and we did this through bridging. We built a bridge over a culvert to enable armoured vehicles and wheeled vehicles to move through that area. And now we're moving into the counter mobility, which is preventing the enemy coming towards us. One of these skills will be putting demolitions on a bridge, which will prevent the enemy utilising that bridge.
Everyone uses those skills as well as the soldiering side of it, which makes the corps so versatile, because we can do more than one job at one time, and we can turn our hand to lots of different things as they turn up unexpectedly, as these things always do.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. That's just a little bit about what we do as Royal Engineers while you're here on your Phase 2 Alpha. So this is quite a new thing for us. This is the trade group overview, where you used to just choose a trade and pretty much either get that trade or not. We've now gone into these like bubbles that you would choose a bubble, and then 3 of the jobs in them bubbles. If you're not successful on your first one, then the second one, and so on and so forth. So as you can see there, the Emmy tradesperson, EOD and search. So if you would like, you're in that bubble, if you would like to be a plant operator, a bricklayer and concreter, fabricator and welder, carpenter and joiner, building and structural finisher, EOD and search, which is his own trade now. Moving on, you've got your Emmy support specialist, which is your logistics specialist, your C3S communications, driver and armoured engineer. The Emmy specialist then, that is your construction materials technician, your surveyor, designs draftsman, and then your designs draftsman electrical and mechanical. That's slightly different. And the Emmy technician, which is fitter aircon and refrigeration, fitter general, electrician, heating and plumber, and then the last one, which is his own entity, is the Geographic Technician. If anyone's got any questions on that, I actually have a person here who is a geo, so if you want to know anything about geo, put it in the Q&A box, and we'll endeavour to get you that information while she's sat there. So some of the qualifications you need to get in these jobs are going to be on these next few slides. So to get into the tradesperson EOD search, the entry requirements are GCSE Maths grade 3, English grade 3, and any other grade 3 or equivalent. So as with all these are all the qualifications you require before you can choose one of them jobs. So you can't come in lesser and then do it while you're in training. That you need to have them first. The Emmy support specialist, then there is none for any of them jobs bar logistics specialist. I don't know why it's in there like that, but logistics specialist, you need Maths level 3, English level 3, any other level 3 or equivalent in anything. But driver, CS free communications, which is our signals, and armoured engineer, you don't need any qualifications to get into that job. That does not mean that you don't get anything from that job or you are the lowest of the low. I've got qualifications. I could have done pretty much any job in the engineers. I really want to do armoured, but each of these will give you a civilian accredited qualification for doing these jobs. So then the ME specialist then, so the requirements are GCSE Maths grade 5, English grade 4, any other grade 4 or equivalent, and that's to get the CMT, the designer, surveyor, and then the electrical and mechanical. Difference between the design draftman. So the design draftman normal is they design the building, like where things are going to be, how they should be, and the bricks and things like that. Where the electrical and mechanical, they'll come in secondary and design where all the electronic places are going to go, how they're going to get electrics in there, the plumbing, and all the sort of technical parts of the building. So design draftman does the exterior, and then the electrical and mechanical, they'll sort out all the guns inside of that building. And then the Emmy technician then, so it's GCSE Maths grade 5, English grade 4, and any other grade 4 equivalent. And that's to get all of them there. If you're into your mechanics, but you don't really want to go to the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers, our closest trade to that would be the fitter general. They do deal with a lot with engines of Land Rovers. They work very closely with the REME, and they also look after all our power tools that are powered by engine. And then the Geographic Technician then, so requirements are Maths grade 5, English grade 4, and any other 4 or equivalent, and that's to get to be a Geographic Technician. You can actually now get a bachelor's degree from doing this job, and you do that alongside your normal work, along with other various bits, and if successful you can actually gain a bachelor's degree from that job now, which for free is absolutely amazing. So not only can you be a triple traded soldier, you can also be 1, 2, or 3 of our specialist roles. And these specialist roles are all voluntary, so you don't have to do these, and no one will ever force you to do these courses. All 3 are arduous courses, physical and mental. First one being diver. That's a hard course to do physically, obviously in cold water and a lot of fizz. However, whatever we can do above ground, combat engineering, they do below water, which is pretty cool. They do a lot of explosives underwater welding, a lot of search stuff with the police, so you can work alongside civilians doing that as well. That one also gives you some extra pay for just doing the course, providing you keep up to date. It's a good amount of pay as well, along with a paratrooper. So you will, as a engineer paratrooper, you will work alongside actual paratroop regiment, and you would assist them with whatever engineering skills need doing, like the explosive method of entry, so blowing down the door so they can get through, or fortifying an area that they need. Whatever combat engineering task they require, you will be there, and that is £5 a day extra if you are at an airborne unit that requires you to be airborne. You get a maroon beret, and you get your wings, provided you've done your jumps course. So the little anomaly then is the Commando Course. So they don't actually pay you any extra money because they believe that if you want to be a commando, then that should be enough. So you're going to get a green beret and a dagger for doing that course. That is a very arduous course also. They're all arduous in different ways. But if you like a challenge, then I would highly recommend going for one of our specialist roles. It's open to males and females. I don't know anyone who is a female diver, so you could be the first female diver we have. However, there are female paratroopers and commandos within the Corps right now. So then, some of the UK assignments we have, as you can see from that map there, we have bases all around the UK. So we've got 3-9 in Kinloss, which is Scotland, and then we have 3-2 and 2-1 there in Yorkshire, so Catchick and Ripon, that's North Yorkshire. 2-3 air assault, so that's their airborne asset. They are in Woodbridge, along with the new Regiment 28, which is our counter CBRN, and they're in, as I said, in Woodbridge. And then we have our EOD regiments, which are 3-3 and 3-5, and they're in Wimbish. Going down to 3-6 engineering in Maidstone, that's mainly our Gurkhas, but it's still a place that that non-Gurkhas go. Then we have the 1 RSME in Chatham. That's where if you're a tradesperson, you'll go and do your Phase 2 Bravo training, and that is like the home of the Royal Engineers. We have 2-6 and 2-2 Engineer Regiment in Tidworth in Wiltshire, and that's where mainly you would be going if you were going to be an armoured engineer, because that is the home of the armour. That's where all the armour is, and we have soldier plane just down the road for you to train on constantly. Then we have the Sioux Commando Engineers in Barnstable. That's where you would most likely be if you used to do the Commando course and go down the Commando route. Then we've got 3 RSME in Minley, which is where I am now. That is where you'll do your Phase 2 Alpha, that 10-week course. And yeah, that's there. And then we have the 4-2 Geos, and they're in Huntingdon. And we have 170 Works Group in Chilwell. You can go to pretty much any of these regiments with more or less any trade. So looking, there is going to be somewhere close to where you would like to be. So not only do we have the UK ones, we also have 1 assignment in Germany. We're the only people left in Germany. And it is 2-3 Amphibious Engineer Squadron in Sennelager. What does that mean? So amphibious, I guess you know that means it can go into water. So we have some big vehicles, some like that big trucks, and they can drive into a river, and they connect each other together with various pontoons and straps, and they form a pontoon bridge to allow us to get over any water gap that we can't bridge with our assets that we have, like the Titan and our own personnel ones, like 12-bay double-storey bridges and any other bridges. That just allows a very quick way of getting troops over running water. Extremely good place to go. Anyone can go at any trade. You just have to, when you get here on your 2nd week, you'll speak to the postings officer and express interest that you would like to go to Germany. And then if there's availability, you can get yourself out to Germany. Good thing about Germany, you get paid extra money for being there. And also you're in Europe, so on your days off, you could go and visit absolutely anywhere. Good place to go. So some of the potential overseas operations then. So don't worry too much about the different colours, but this is some of the places that we have sappers in at present. So we have Canada, Tunisia, Bosnia, Cyprus, Estonia, Iraq, Afghanistan, broader Middle East, Pakistan, Somalia, Kenya, South Sudan, Falklands, Mali, and the Caribbean. So as you can see, that's just some of the places we're in. There is more that we're in, and there's some places that we've like sort of took a step back from. But me personally, I've done Canada, must be 15 times now. Still love the place, and I'll still go another 15 times. Do a lot of training there, being armoured, because the prairie is so big. Cyprus, been there 3 times now, doing AT and various other exercises. Who doesn't like a bit of warm weather? Estonia, that's the latest one I've been to before I came into this job, and that was, you'll see more on another slide, but that's more operational style. But yeah, there's loads of places you can go. Kenya, I've been to there, basically safari exercise. So yeah, you can see there's many places you can visit as a Royal Engineer. So UK operations then. So not only do we have the overseas stuff, the training, and everything else we're doing, but we also have UK operations, which are up Escalin. So if you've ever heard in the past couple of years where the fuel tanker drivers, they went on strike. So if that happens, obviously the UK still need fuel to be delivered around the UK, and we then step in as like in between to deliver that fuel in and around to make sure people can still get to work and still get their fuel on time. Then we have Optempora then, and that's to support the British police. So you see on social media quite a lot saying that the British Army are going to be on the streets with guns, making sure people are being COVID compliant and things. That's absolutely not a thing. We don't do that. So what they're thinking is Optempora. So op temporary is then if you go to a power plant or a building as such, it'll have police outside making sure that the security there is good. And all we will do is go liaise with them, find out exactly what their routine is, and then take on that role as a protection of that area while they go and do the police work. We don't do police work. We have no power to arrest people. So we just help them so then they can free up their men to go and do the tasks. So we got op rescript then. So we, as you've probably seen in the news, we have been supporting the COVID pandemic throughout. That's to testing, logistics, building the Nightingale hospitals. The Royal Engineers have been the forefront of that always, along with infantry call signs and other attachments. So we have the counter IED, EOD and search them. So they are massively high readiness, and they do all what it says there, but basically what they do is when there is a bomb scare or someone's dug up a World War II bomb by doing building works and things, our EOD lot will go down and just make sure it's going to be safe, remove it if possible, blow it in situ if needs be, and just make it safe for everyone in and around the UK. We also have a regiment in Ireland that also do it there. So there is opportunities to do a lot of things within the Royal Engineers. So some of the opportunities then, I'll start off by going, it's not on the slide, but quite new in the past couple of years. Anyone who joins the Royal Engineers now gets a driving licence paid for by the Royal Engineers. And you'll do that straight after your Phase 2 Alpha 10-week course at Gibraltar Barracks. Once you finish your 10 weeks, you'll go into our holding troop, which is the Talavera troop, and then you will do your theory. Once you complete your theory, then you'll go on to your driving. If you don't pass, you just go again. You just keep doing it until you pass. No one leaves this camp without a driving licence. If you already have one, some people ask questions, can I get another one? I.e., can you kind of get Cat C and things? Unfortunately, unless you're going to be a driver or your job specifically asks for said licence, then unfortunately, no, you can't gain anything else. If anyone's keen into bikes, there is talk about, not within the Royal Engineers specifically, but bikes coming back into play within the Army, and hopefully we'll get some of them, and that means that then we can get a free mobile licence. So then the CPD qualifications and civilian quals. So anything we do within the Army, within reason, is civilian accredited as well as being military accredited. And you can always do extra things alongside work or within the working day to gain extra qualifications all the way through your career, which is really good. And you can also use various credits that we have, standard learning credits and enhanced learning credits, that then could beef up whatever qualifications you have to the next level, or even start a new one. It doesn't have to be specifically to benefit the Army, but within reason, sort of it's a justification of you doing said course to gain a qualification. But it could be pretty much anything. Battlefield study then. So I've been on a few of these. They're extremely good. It's taking you basically back to where battles and war sites have been from the past, and sort of reliving it and seeing how their tactics and their TTPs and the sort of situation they lived in and the trenches and things like that. You see that firsthand, normally with a civilian, probably ex-military, but a civilian like tour guide, and that's extremely good. It's massively overwhelming, and that's all at a very small cost to you. I've been on about 4 or 5 of them now, and I'd have to go on another 50 of them. They're really good, and it just brings into play how lucky we are now as an army in the current climate compared to like World War I and II and other battles respectively. So serving diverse roles then, that speaks for itself. I think I've explained most of that throughout this presentation. We can be doing an array of things throughout a year. So you'll have you could be in Canada for 2 months, come back from there, go on some AT, adventure training, do a bit of training, then you could be in Somalia, you can be all over the world within the Royal Engineers. So diverse roles is like pretty much our bag. So participation in various sports and adventure training then. So I always put them together because sports and AT are pretty close knit. Sports within the Royal Engineers is massive. We massively lean on sports throughout the Corps. I'm talking non-COVID era, but AT you normally do once a year, and that can be anything from hill walking in Wales, which doesn't sound very good, but you're still out of work, being paid. However, they can go all the way to like skydiving in California, to skiing in Canada, to diving in the carrot, literally anything you can think of, someone will jack that up as an adventure training. And then sports, you can do at various different levels. So if you want to get into a sport, then you can start doing a sports. You can start doing that sport at normally regimental level on a sports Wednesday, which is we have a half-day Wednesday, and then you'll go and do a sport that you would like to get into, or you already do. And then once you progress and you've clearly shown that you're good enough to be in the regimental team, you can then progress up to the army team, which is then gives you a lot more scope to get time off to go to various sporting activities and various times away to just participate in sport, compete and things like that. If you then excel in that, you can go up to the UK Armed Forces level, which then is the top tier of what we have in the forces. And again, that gets you a lot of time off and a lot of scope and opportunity to train and compete and do everything in different areas because you're competing at that high level. I've took massive advantage of this. I do judo for the engineers, the army and the UK Armed Forces. I used to do motocross for the engineers, and I've done rock climbing. I've done so many different sports and adventure training. It's all there for you to grasp if you want to take it. No one's going to give it to you, so it's leaned upon yourself to get that jacked up and get it going ahead. But you can try a different sport every Wednesday. If you want to do rugby on the Wednesday, and the week after you want to do a bit of judo, then a bit of kickboxing. That's more than feasible to do within the engineers. So I'm going to pass you over now to Captain Porter, and she's going to go through the Sapper Officer way of life, and then I'll come back and then answer any questions that you would like live answered on here. So I'm just going to pause myself off video and get that sorted for you.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name's Captain Meg Porter. As Corporal Coley said, you know, I'm a Sapper officer. I've been in the Army now for 4 years. My journey was a little bit different to his. I went to did my A-levels, went to university, had a civilian job, and then joined the Army as an officer. So what's the difference between an officer and a soldier? Well, as you go in as a junior officer, your first role is a leadership role, managing 30 to 50 soldiers wherever you go in the Army. So in my experience, my first troop was an armoured troop, like Corporal Coley's originally from. And after doing my training, I took that troop as the person in charge of that troop to Estonia, Canada, Germany, etc. To do tasks. So it's more of the leadership and management role, as well as getting hands-on, sort of all the tasks that Corporal Coley spoke about. So how do you do it? Well, you do need some, the academic requirements are a little bit different. So you need 72 UCAS points to become an Army officer. For those of you that are doing A-levels, it's really easy to work those out if you meet that criteria. Most of our officers will have a university degree, or they will obviously have their A-levels. A degree isn't necessary, it's just the 72 UCAS points that we look for. Once you've done your online application, you can attend one of our assessment centres, and that's done over 2 separate assessments, and what they're looking for there is your leadership potential. So you don't need to be the finished article, but all those things that you might have done at school or university that are building you into a leader, like captaining your rugby team or being a prefect at school, anything like that, all goes towards building that potential. You then go to the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, which is absolutely world renowned, and you complete a 44-week course there in military training. It's academic, you get a third of a master's out of it now for free, courtesy of the Army, which turns into a full master's throughout your career. There's sport, there's adventure training, all the things that Corporal Coley spoke about as in the culture of the Army. That's what Sandhurst is, but at the core of it is learning to be an Army officer and how to lead men and women in very difficult situations. And that's where you will then choose to join a CAP badge. So for example, you will choose to join the Royal Engineers or maybe another CAP badge. If you join the Royal Engineers though, which I would thoroughly recommend, you then do a 7-month-long Troop Commander's course, which is essentially an opportunity to invest in yourself, learn about all that we can do in the Sappers. You get some project management qualifications, you refresh yourself on some maths and some design, really basic, and you're basically learning all the things that your soldiers can do and how you can best use them when you get given a task. You do not have to have a STEM or a technical background to join the Corps. I'm a history graduate, okay? That's why the course is so long. It's to get you from point A, when you come in, you've maybe not done maths for quite some time, to point B, where you're ready to go and take over your troop. And then, you know, coming out the other side of that training cycle, you're taking over your troop, which is a real privilege. You know, I was 24 when I took over my troop and immediately had 45 soldiers in my troop, so it was quite daunting, and I don't think any other grad job or junior job would have given me the opportunity to have such high levels of responsibility. So yeah, that's what an army officer is. And yeah, if you've got any questions about that, please stay on at the end.
Perfect, thank you, Mum. So the next slide, I'm not going to put it up, but basically that is any questions. So if you have any questions now, then please feel free to put it in the Q&A box and I will answer it live while I'm talking to you now. This is a good opportunity for you to ask any question you could possibly think of. So don't think, oh, it's a bit of a silly question, I shouldn't answer that. Just ask it. We've probably been asked it before. It's not an issue. We'll answer it. If I can't answer it, I will endeavour to get you that information by the end of the day via email. So we'll.
Okay, so we have
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is from Tom. Have you ever worked with the US Army?
Well, hi Tom. Yes, I've worked with the Americans and the Canadians, Army and Air Force. Yeah, I've worked with them, and there is an opportunity for you to work with them as well. Obviously, depending on whatever exercise or operation you're on.
The next one is, why did you join the Army and what do you like about it?
So I joined the Army because I always wanted a career, not a job, and a lot of my friends are in the Army and I just like the way it goes. I like the travelling. I get very bored. So I think that just doing a normal job where you did the same thing day in, day out, week in, week out, was not for me. So Army was the only way I was going to go, or police, but no young person really likes police, or they do now, but they didn't back in the day. And then what was the second part of the question? Why do I like it? Exactly what I've just said in there. The array of different things you can do within the Army, not just the engineers, but in the Army in general, it works for me. So going away, I like doing that. I like going away. I like visiting new places. I like doing new jobs, having new challenges, and just doing things that you wouldn't do in a normal civilian role. So yeah, I would recommend it to absolutely anybody.
Perfect. What is the minimum age that you can join?
Minimum age is 15 and 9 months to join, and that'll get you to AFC in Harrogate, and that's a 20-week course. If you wait until you're 17 and 2 months, then you can go down the adult route, which is a 14-week course.
Why should women join the Army, as it is a predominantly male organisation?
It's only a predominantly male organisation because people think it's not for women, but it is just as much for women. We've got Captain Porter there, female, and I've got 2 of my colleagues here, both female. So I don't know, it just seems to attract, I think because of the way that we wear kit and we go on exercise and we get dirty and we do various things like that. I think it mainly attracts males, but we are getting more and more females in all the time. Engineers, we seem to struggle. I don't really know why, because we offer quite a lot compared to any other cat badge. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't give you the answer to that, other than it shouldn't be. There's no reason why it's mainly male led.
Yeah, I'd just like to build on that, Rosie, if that's okay. Just every role in the Army is now open to you, no matter your gender or anything like that. It's all about if you can do the job. I've had such a great time in the Army, and so much of it is because of it's a challenging work environment. You know, you're constantly being hit with challenges and stretching yourself professionally and personally. You know, it's not something that people should be put off just because of their gender. I've made some amazing friends since I've been in the Army in such a short period of time, men and women. And yeah, I would really hate for someone to be put off joining just simply because of their gender. It's absolutely about what you can do, and think of all the opportunities you could have with this. And I've been really lucky to benefit from those. Yeah,
totally agree with what Captain Porter said. We got any more questions?
Yeah, there's one probably for Captain Porter.
Okay.
Are there opportunities to become an officer during your time in the Army if you don't immediately join as an officer?
Yeah, that's quite common. So some of our soldiers come in and they have a career as a soldier, and then they get recommended or they start to develop an interest in becoming an officer. There's a process in place for that. So essentially transferring your service from soldier to officer. If you do that when you're a junior rank, so you've been in a few years and you're at the early stage of your career, You will join as a direct entry officer, which is what I've done, and then those soldiers will go and complete the 44-week commissioning course at Sandhurst with the rest of us, so we're all sort of one cohort. Yeah, that's really common. On my troop commander's course, of a course of 24, we had 4 people that had prior soldier service, which was really good actually to have them, because they bring a different perspective to things, and they also, you know, different experiences and make the team work better. So yeah, that's pretty common. We're lucky enough in the engineers that our soldiers are, you know, really switched on people, and what that means is a lot of them already have the academic requirements and ability to come down the officer route. So yeah, that's really common. But if you're interested in becoming an officer, you know, I would implore you to give it a go. Even through the assessment process, you'll learn loads about yourself.
Perfect. So I've been notified we have around about 3 to 4 minutes left. So any more questions, bring them in.
Are there head coverings for Sikhs?
Well, 100% there will be something. I don't know if they're issued, but I'm presuming they will be.
Yeah, they are. So if you're from a religious background that you need to wear a head covering, that's absolutely fine. Okay, people from that community wear that sort of headdress, and they have their core cap badge on the front, so that they've still got that core identity as you get when you join a part of the army, while still maintaining that religious identity that's really important to people. So yeah, absolutely. Likewise, if people are from a Muslim or Jewish background, all of our feeding is there's halal, there's kosher, there's vegetarian, etc. So that's to accommodate for essentially the UK is a really diverse place, and the army should be the same, and that's why we work to make sure that we allow everybody to join, no matter what their background, and make them part of the team, because everybody's got something to offer.
Exactly. Have we got any more questions, Lottie?
One last one. What kind of fitness tests do you have, and what happens if you fail?
Okay, so we have assessment centre which will assess how you are phys-wise, and the run now, it used to be a 1.5, now it's only 2k, so it's dropped a little bit, it's dropped 0.4 of a k, but the time's gone up, so not only have you got more time to do less, so we've made it more inclusive. So it used to be a male and a female specific way, now it is all joint, doesn't matter how old you are, what gender you are, anything else, it's all one, and that is 2k in trades different, but ours is 13.5 minutes. And then there is mid-thigh pull, which is in the form of deadlift. So you have to do a certain weight in deadlift, pull-ups, but there's none required currently. But I'm guessing by the time if you got through, there would be, but it won't be like 30. It's going to be something I'm guessing in the region of about 5. 500-meter sprints in ample time, and then you have a medicine ball throw where you'll sit on the floor with your back against the wall and just throw forward the medicine ball, and that will give you a distance. And then passing all them, that is your basic fitness until we come into the new version of the tabbing. But I won't explain that because it will make absolutely no sense yet, and we're not bringing it in until next year.
Yeah, just to add on that, for anybody that's considering it as a job, when you're at the start of the pipeline, like anybody that's watching this video might be, you do not have to be a superhero to join the army. Okay, we're not after Superman or Superwoman, and it's not all about how fast you can run and how much you can lift. All right, okay, you need people with stuff up here and who can meet our standard and who are the right sort of people to be part of the team. Being physically robust is just one aspect of what we do. So if you're potentially thinking of joining, you're like, oh, what an amazing career, but oh, I'm not that fit. Well, you don't have to be. The system's there to get you to the standard, okay? And a little bit of fitness goes a long way. So please don't let that put anybody off. If you've got the drive to do this and to do something and have an amazing career, learning to run a little bit quicker or lift a little bit more weight is absolutely achievable for everyone. And I say that as a 5'2" female that does not look like the definition of athleticism, but I can still pass all my tests and deliver a result. So I would really implore people to not let that put them off.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said in the brief, it's not, you haven't got to start good. They'll build you from literally from day one. You'll do very slow and low mileage, and then just build you up. And by the end of it, you'll be probably the fittest you've ever been in your entire life. We've got any more questions?
One from Anonymous. How often do you travel abroad?
So currently in this role, not really at all, unless going on adventure training. But within a normal regiment, it depends on your battle rhythm at the time. But I probably average about once a year, sometimes once every 2 years, but mainly once a year, sometimes twice a year. But I'm different though. I volunteer for a lot. So if something comes up and they say who wants to do this, my hand's going up because I want to visit different places. But you'll have to go away at some point if it's in needs of the army. Any more questions?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go one last question now.
When you join the army, do you stay in barracks or at your house?
Good question, actually. A lot of people don't really know. So going through training, you'll stay in the barracks while training. Anything after that, when you get to your regiment, if you live near there, you can ask to stay there. However, we class it as big boy rules, so you'd have to ask your staff if you can live out, your seniors, and then it basically works if you're late for work, a couple of times because you've not got up or whatever reason, they can revoke you doing that. Most people stay in the block, but then if you're married, there's quarters around. If you live near there, you can live out. It's not a massive issue. But I'd encourage anyone, unless it's your own house and it's your parents or something, I wouldn't live at home. Live in the block. It's much more sociable, should we say. So what we're going to do is going to leave it there. I hope that you've learned something that you didn't know that the engineers did. That's my main point of doing these. And if anyone's got any questions, then get in touch with your tutor. She has my email address and she can email me and I'll answer any questions throughout. Thanks for watching and hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and if anyone does have any questions, you can email askanambassador@canterbury.ac.uk. So that's in the chat box as well. So thank you so much for all the questions coming in and for answering them so detailed. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.